They hail from Texas and have a very unique story of how they met. Of course, 3 years ago, the country was in the throes of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic, and quarantining. And it's amazing how unlikely circumstances can bring us together in the unlikeliest of opportunities. And today I'm sitting down with two people who have taken TikTok by storm in an unlikely way. Miss Swing and Miss J joined me. They went viral, and we're going to talk about their pairing and what brought them together. They're very inspirational, and that's what makes me excited to sit down with you ladies today. First of all, I'll say, Miss Swing, Miss J, how are you guys doing?
Well, good. We're good. We just want to say thank you for having us. And we're doing good. We're doing real good.
First of all, it's a pleasure because I think your audience and our audience obviously will find the backstory a bit interesting. And of course, respectfully, I'd like to go into some of those deep details that got us to the humor and the comedic life that you all live together today. And in that lane, I'll start with you, Miss J.
Yes.
3 years ago, you experienced incredible loss.
Yes.
Right? Take me there.
I had just lost my husband unexpectedly to a heart attack. And so after that had happened, it's just like I just didn't know. I just went into, I don't want to say like a deep depression, but I went into, a state of depression for a little bit there. And
it would be fair to call it a state of depression because loss is that. And Lord knows grief can be, in terms of how heavy it can be, grief can be great during those times. And you say it was sudden. It was in his sleep, during the day. Were you there?
He left the house. It was on a Saturday, and he left to go to a friend's house. And then I was just wondering what took him so long. And then I got a phone call back because his phone was locked, so nobody was able to get in touch with me. But then I got a phone call that, he had a heart attack. But they didn't say that he had passed away on the site. But by the time I made it to the hospital, he had already passed away.
Wow.
Yes.
Ms. J and her husband had been together for 20 years. And after the grief, a cousin called and gave her a token of solace, or at least something she would hope would be a token of solace. Your cousin calls you and tells you about this weird platform called TikTok.
Yes.
That conversation.
Yes. She, like you said, the pandemic had just happened. Everybody's in the house. So she said, well, why don't you get on TikTok? She's like, I'm on TikTok. And I'm like, what's this TikTok? So I'm like, I'm downloading the app. She said, just take a look. So I download the app. Next thing I know, an hour later, I'm looking. I'm like, okay, I probably can do this, So then I just started to figure out, the ins and outs of TikTok.
And it became addictive like it did for the rest of us.
Did.
And I can tell you, even me as a blind consumer, I enjoy it. And to that end right there, Miss Swing, I'll turn to you as well. Just like the rest of us, I'll tell you, 2020 was mentally draining, mentally difficult for us. The whole world is gone to the Walking Dead, as we thought.
Yeah.
At that time, you were probably in the throes of something that I was in as well, really, really debilitating depression, right?
Well, the thing with me is I deal with depression, and swinging out was my go-to. Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So when I was dealing with things that I was dealing with from my past, I would gravitate to dancing. And so when the pandemic came, everything came to a halt. So then I had to start to deal with my depression by myself alone. And so I was scrolling Facebook and I ran across TikTok and I downloaded, anybody tell me about that. So I downloaded it, so I had to figure it out myself. And I was just pretty much duetting everybody that I can duet just to entertain myself. And I ran across hers, and I asked her, because I was good at asking people, could I duet them? And I asked her, could I duet her? And she said, can't wait to see it.
Can't wait to see it.
And at that time, I was in San Antonio, because I'm a truck driver.
Yeah.
So, and the rest is history.
Wow. In fact, we have the clip of the original TikTok video and the duet. Take a look.
I never been the type to break up a happy home, but it's something about baby girl, I just can't leave alone. Tell me, mom, what's it gonna said,
You don't know what you mean to me. I do. All I think about is you. Even when I'm with my boo, you know I'm crazy over you.
Very interesting video. And so again, you're scrolling TikTok, you happen to see her, you guys duet, and then all of a sudden things take off. And I think between the two of you guys, you have millions of likes and an astronomical amount of followers. Could you see a pairing like this morphing into something like that?
No, we couldn't. We didn't even see it taking off and going in the direction that it went in. When we actually got we started out as friends, and then it just built off into a relationship. And then from there, when we made it known on TikTok that we were together, it seemed like both of our pages just blew up from there. So we didn't see that coming.
That's that unlikeliest pairing. Now, it's often called shared grief. Obviously, shared grief or shared trauma for two different reasons, so to speak. Talking to you, Miss J, the idea of losing a husband of 20 years, and some people move on, some people don't, but in your moving on, right, and the surprise that comes along with it, you ended up moving on with a woman.
Right.
How did you reconcile yourself with that?
You know what? It wasn't anything that I was looking for. Like I explained to people that I have friends that are, gay female, gay male, never even, thought of being in a relationship with a female. But I always tell people that I love her. I fell in love with her, her as a person, not for who she is. And she just happens to be a female. But she gave me everything that I needed at the time that I needed it, which nothing physical. It was all about spiritual, emotionally. Yes, she was there for me. And so she just happened to be a female. And I just tell people I'm the same person. I just lay my head on a different pillow now.
Yeah. And Ms. Swing, for you, obviously we understand clinical depression. I struggled with it myself, and it's something that we champion here at Jenleeíon all the time. And with that, now you have Ms. J in your life, right? That spark and the solace that she became for you, take me there.
Yeah, she helps me deal with depression. Usually when a person deals with depression, people always want to push them off or don't have time for them, or it seems to be problematic for someone else. But she embraced it. She understood it. She wanted to get to the core of the problem. And I never had anybody in my life to want to help me go through it.
Yeah, because I'll tell you, it's one of those things that regardless when you are supporting someone going through that you might wake up and hope it's a good, it's a good day, but for them it may not be.
Right.
Yeah.
And loving someone deeply enough to where if it's not a sunny day for them, it's still your day, your shared day, right? Was that easy? And is it easy, or is it, as we say, every day's a winding road?
It's not easy because I'm a fix it type of person. Whatever's wrong, I want to be able to fix it. And I had to realize that with her, like whatever made her sad or upset, I always wanted to find out, well, what is it? And I want to fix it. What can I do to fix it? And she was like, it's not anything that you can do, just but be here for me. But I'm just a fix it type of person. So I had to make sure that I just take a step back. And when she needed me, that I was there for her. And that she will let me know what I need to do to help her.
And one of the things that I do love, Miss Swing, is that when you talked about the dancing, right, a key phrase came to mind for me, coping skills, right? Coping skills, or having a coping outlet, so to speak. For me, I get on people's nerves where I will just bust, thank you, Lord. I will just bust in the house. I'll just even, hey! I'll be belting and just, music's to my outlet, right? That's my thing. But in the way of dancing, you would go out and you swing dance as your would-be coping mechanism. You guys connected. Where is dance as a driving force in your pairing now?
I don't miss it. She substitutes that.
Wow.
By just you know, it was just an outlet to dance because I didn't like going home. I didn't like, you know, dealing with what I was dealing with. But because she listens, I don't miss dancing.
Wow.
I don't miss dance.
But-
I can do it, but I don't miss it.
Yeah. I mean,
Wait,
we
wait.
do it every now and then in the TikTok when we see
those.
she teaches me to swing out, and we'll do it every now and then in, you know, the TikToks, but it's not anything that she misses.
But you said something powerful though, and it was already a question that was festering in the back of my mind. Is because I know that sometimes, even with us having people in our lives that we know are fixers, sometimes the fixing is not what we need. Sometimes we just need the listening. And you said because she listens.
Yes.
That's very powerful.
She
Qualify
listened
that.
She listened without judgment.
Mm.
You know, and being that she's never been through the things that I've been through, never heard of, like she would say, well, when I was playing with baby dolls, you know, you were going through traumatic stuff, and you know, I just appreciate her just understanding where I was, you know.
Wow.
I tried to.
Yeah.
I tried to.
Yeah.
Now I ask, you know, to that degree, and to a certain degree, you found her to be, you know, a therapeutic sounding board for you.
Yeah.
Wow. How different is your life now that she's in it?
Wow. I'm still in awe. I'm still wild. I'm just still wild that I actually just have somebody. I finally have somebody to just be there. I've always wanted somebody to just love me. You know, people tell you they love you all the time, but when she says it, she also shows it.
Wow. And I asked this question respectfully in terms of, obviously she lost her husband and it was a unexpected crossroad in what we would, you know, what can be considered, I guess, pansexuality, right?
Yeah.
Where were you on the sexuality spectrum prior to?
I've been gay for 30 years. But at the time when the pandemic hit, I was done.
With everybody and
I was
everything.
just done. I
Yeah.
didn't meet nobody else. So.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
So the spark bug that exists in this pairing, who did it hit first?
It hit swing first.
Yeah.
It hit swing first.
Yeah.
Most definitely.
Yeah.
But I wasn't too far behind. I wasn't too far behind, but it hit her first.
Yeah.
And I go back to you for the reason because it's important. Did you wake up one day and say, well, where'd that come from?
I did. I did actually. It was like, because, you know, when I went to go see her as a friend because she said nobody ever shows up for her. So when I went to go see her,
He was like, I'm here.
yeah, and when I
Yeah.
was there and I spent the weekend, and then on my way home I was driving. I was like, okay, what are you doing? What are you doing? Are you sure that I wanted to make sure I wasn't doing it out of trying, you know, replacing, you know, what I lost, trying to replace, or just gravitating towards the first person that, you know, I come in contact with. So I wanted
You wanted to make sure that you weren't being driven by your grief.
Right,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, yeah, but I asked myself, I said, well, what are you doing? I'm like, I really love her. So, you know, I would talk to myself and I said, I really love her. I got this. So, yeah.
And so with that being said, why? Why do you love her?
Why do I? You know what? She has a big heart. She's very loving and she's kind. I've never met anybody like her ever. She stands on whatever she says. She stands on it. If she says she's going to do something, she's consistent and she's loving and she's kind, and that's all I can say. Yeah.
Loving and kind. And to that end, Miss, at the Real Swing Therapy and the Real Miss J, in your platforms, you definitely provide a lot of content, a lot of comedic content that I like to listen to. One of the things is, Miss Swing, your kitchen chronicles.
Yeah. Yes.
Is her cooking actually good? I have to ask. Is it?
Her cooking is good. Yeah.
It is?
Yeah, hers is good. Yeah. See, I'm down south, so gumbo. She ain't never heard.
I
of
haven't
it.
yet. I haven't expertise the gumbo yet, but like her oxtails.
She don't
and
eat
all that
nobody's
other
tail. No
Oh,
oxtail.
oxtails
no
and
turkey neck.
chitterlings.
Yeah.
She won't eat nothing that has a name to it.
But I tell you what,
Neck.
I cook it though.
Yeah.
So wait, so is that so? You're not a meat eater, or
No, I am. It's just that I can't even say the way I grew up, but we grew up totally different, like night and day. My parents are, from, Georgia, so they ate that kind of cooking, but they never, I'm a military brat, so I was never, they never forced us or had us try, things like beans and rice and the southern cooking or anything like that, so I wasn't used to it.
so? What was it then? It was
It's like-
a more plant-based experience,
No,
or
I mean, it was meat. Like, we just have pork chops, potatoes, steak.
and all this devoid of the lard, I guess.
Yeah.
I come and ask about oxtails. She said tails. I don't eat nobody's tail. I don't eat nobody's neck. Feet. I don't eat nobody's feet.
No. But I could.
So they take the turkey neck, pig feet, and oxtails. You got all parts of the body covered. All right. Well, have you at least gotten her to at least consider chicken liver? So she's not going that far. But so the thing is, she hasn't convinced you to try these things out?
I've tried. What have I tried? I tried.
You tried a spoonful of gumbo. You
Spoonful
eating
of gumbo.
a forkful of a piece of meat of oxtail.
An oxtail, yeah.
That's it.
But
Well, but gumbo's a safe thing because you can put different things in it. If it's
You
if
can.
it's pork and shrimp or wait a minute. So Miss Swing, what are you putting in your gumbo that she only could do a spoonful?
Basic chicken, sausage, and shrimp. That's it.
you
No
call
more
it the
else.
poor man's gumbo.
Yeah, that's what I call poor
Yeah,
man
the
gumbo. Yeah.
poor man's gumbo.
But that's the soul of it all, though.
Yeah.
So tell me, what's your intention with the increased following that you guys have with TikTok now that it's there, right? Because you often find a situation, I say this all the time, that some people search for greatness and attention and other people have it thrust upon them and find that they wear it well. You guys are in the latter piece of it where it's sort of thrust upon you and then you wear it well and figure out how to use it. How do you guys see? Or have you guys thought that deep?
We haven't. We just said that, you know what, when it comes to time to where we both don't have the desire, because now, we get on there, we love going live with the followers and engaging, but when it's not satisfying to either one of us, and that's when we've said that we will actually move it to a different platform and, shut that down. So
I see, so I hear you saying when you feel it's not purposeful,
right.
then you'll definitely shift from it.
Yes.
So you said you don't miss dancing, which I think is huge, right? You don't miss it because you definitely have someone who listens to you, as you said earlier. But is that to say that you never wake up and the dancing bug hits you and you want to?
I don't miss it because of the reason why I was going.
Ah,
I was going because I was always dealing with something.
Yeah, I
And-
see.
And
I
to
see.
dance was to just get away from what I was dealing with at that time.
So because the causation
Yeah.
has been removed.
Yeah.
That's powerful. The causation has been removed so that there's no catalyst there to send you to
Right.
do that. That's amazing. And I'll ask you this, in your laws, right?
Mm-hmm.
Prior to meeting Miss Swing, what were you doing to deal with your grief?
I was just getting out and staying away from the house. I was getting out with family and friends, which is normally not what I would do. But after the loss, I would always find myself away from home. And when I come back home, during the day, so I leave at 9 o'clock in the morning, wouldn't be back home till 10 o'clock. So I always found something to do outside the house, whether it was, shopping or just visiting with family and friends.
How has your family found your unlikely pairing?
They love her. They love her because at first I kept saying to myself, okay, how do I prepare my family and friends for this? But when I told them, they was like, okay.
Well,
But does she
because
make you
you're
happy?
thinking, wait, well, your husband died, now you with a woman?
Right,
What,
right.
is that kind of thing?
He's waiting on that.
Oh, you were waiting to hear that?
She's like, I was waiting for that shoe to drop. But it didn't, surprisingly, it didn't happen. It didn't happen that way. Nobody ever questioned. They just said, does she make you happy? And I said, yeah. They said, well, all we want to do is see you happy. Because it was something for them to see me smile again. So for me to see me smile and laugh again, they was like, okay,
Something
apparently
for
she
them
makes
to
you
see
happy.
you smile again.
Yes.
Wow, and knowing how, and I tend to talk very poetic, but knowing how bleak the dark abyss of grief can be. Yeah, I do talk like that, unfortunately, but that's the only way I can describe it.
okay.
It's the only way I can describe it. Knowing how dark that could be and how what it is like for family members, and they suddenly do see you smiling, it's one of those things where it's tough for them, especially if these people genuinely love you, for them to find a place of contention with that, and whether they agree or don't agree. I think that's powerful if your family was able to say, "Hey, she's smiling again. Right. So who are we?"
Right.
That's amazing. So both of you guys were based in Texas at the time, or
yes. Yeah, we were just 4.5 hours away from each other. Yeah, 4.5 hours away from each other.
and then did you give up your house? Did she give up her? Like, how did?
Well, you know what? For a year, I was going back and forth, and then I stayed with her for a year, and then she said, "You know what? You sacrificed coming out here on her turf and not knowing anybody, having family or friends. I want to, move with you and reciprocate that." So I was like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work for her because she's never been out of where she grew up for 50 something years. She's never, besides, truck driving. So she's never moved away. So when she did that, I was like, okay, we'll see how this works. But surprisingly, we're together. So it worked.
Wow. And are you still truck driving, Miss Swing?
Yes. 28 years.
28 years.
Yes.
Wow. And I asked this. Did the road exacerbate any of your depression, or was that also solace throughout the years?
That's just what I've always just done. It doesn't take away or give to. So.
You said that's just the way I make money.
If you knew the story behind a wild one truck driver, then you'd be like, okay, that don't.
Yeah. Well, it's what makes the chicken, pork, and shrimp gumbo possible. So.
There you go.
Well, it's a pleasure to meet you ladies today. Like I said, a very, very, very interesting story. And again, I know how grief can be, and anyone being able to find sunshine in the midst of midnight, I think is beautiful for anyone, whatever that case is or whatever they might be going through. And I say that as a totally blind man. I'm in midnight, but I see the sunshine.
I love your wording. I love your wording. Yeah.
So with that, again, if people don't know, so that you can spell it out for them, where they can follow you on the platforms that you are on outside of TikTok and TikTok, please let them know.
Well, they can follow me at the real Mrs. J. And that's JAI. And that's on TikTok. And then on Instagram is Miss J. ms.jailaw.
And Swing?
And for Swing, it's the Real Swing Therapy on TikTok. On YouTube is Swing Therapy, and on IG is Swing Therapy 1.
And there it is. Mario Bonds, I want to thank you guys for joining us for this special edition of the Jenleeíon Circle. Please also check out the stunning images that Miss Swing and Miss J took as a part of our cover series for women. And I look forward to seeing you guys next time. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Does anyone still believe in paradise?